Wanda enlisted in the U.S. Navy in 1968 and served honorably until 1971, achieving the rank of E5, a second-class petty officer. While raising her family of 5, Wanda earned 3 Associate of Arts degrees and worked in the transportation industry for over 30 years. She then began mentoring youth for decades with the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps. She and her husband, Perry, restored the mini USS Arizona battleship model, which is all behind you, used to build the ship models depicted in the World War film Tora, Tora, Tora. She continues to support the USS Arizona Memorial to this day and is a fierce advocate of preserving our nation's history. So please join me in welcoming Miss Wanda Sartain.
Good morning to all. I am very humbled and honored to have been asked by Paula to speak today about the little ship over there. And there's some facts about December 7th of 41 that seem to get lost in history. During that attack, there was 2,403 military and civilian personnel lost, 1,177 wounded. The Army lost 218, and that included the Army Air Corps because we didn't have the Air Force until 1947. The Marines lost 109. The Navy lost 2,008. These numbers could be considered appropriate because many were never found or identified. That's a sad thing to think about. The Arizona was commissioned to the Navy in October of 1916. By the time the Navy got control of it, never served any combat action during World War I. It was used as a training ship while they certified equipment and made adjustments to things. When that ship first came out, it had torpedo tubes. That was all changed in the 30s. And it had what they call an open bridge. In fact, the commanding officer and everybody stood outside, regardless of the weather. All of that changed when it was remodeled in the 30s. During the attack, an armor-piercing bomb came from an airplane and went down between the superstructure and the back of the number 2 turret. Bienvenido. Yes. And it hit and exploded in a powder magazine, and that's what took the Arizona down in about 8 minutes. 8 minutes. There was 1,177 lost, some of them were Marines, and 900 remain inside the hull to this day. The rest were taken to the National Cemetery of the Pacific, commonly known as the Punch Bowl, and they were all interred there together. 335 crew members of the Arizona survived. Most of them were not on the ship. Most of them were on Liberty in Honolulu. They could choose to be interred with their shipmates on the Arizona, and 44 of them chose to do that. The National Park Service and the Navy took care of those interments. The memorial itself is 186 feet across where the superstructure of the Arizona would be. And we have a famous person that helped finish it. It was built between 60 and 62. Elvis Presley was in Hawaii making a movie, and he found out they needed money, so he called Minnie Pearl, and she gathered up a bunch of folks, and they put on a concert. All of the money went to build the memorial. He didn't want that known. They knew it in Arizona. Very few people here knew it. I didn't know it until I was over there the first time. He was quite an American. There was a lot of losses that day that we don't think about. We know about the Arizona because of the tremendous loss. That's the greatest loss of life of any naval ship in history, still is. But we lost 459 on the Oklahoma, and that was total tragedy because it capsized and they could not get the men out. They didn't get them out until it was uprighted and refloated about 1946, something like that. And it was being towed for scrap to the Pacific coast, broke loose in a storm and sank. They have no idea where it's at. The other one was the 59 personnel we lost on the Utah, and that's on the backside of Ford Island. It was an old World War II battleship. It was reclassified as a training ship, but it looked like a battleship from the air, so it got hit. All 8 of our battleships were damaged or destroyed during that attack. Everything went back in service except those 3 ships. Those 3 ships could not be repaired or righted. And we know the Arizona is still there, and we can pay our tribute and honor to those folks that we lost. The little replica over there was originally built by a man and wife named Cecil and Pat Gates. She wrote a book about their adventures that's called You Can't Go Incognito in a Battleship. She was a school teacher, he was an industrial arts teacher, and the hull on that little replica is about 60 years old. It was originally cast for the movie Tora Tora Tora. And the chief historian of the Park Service, when I was over there, told me that that movie is the most historically accurate piece of information you'll find on film. So if you've never seen it and you get an opportunity to, it's a great movie. He shows it, he's retired now. His name was Daniel Martinez. He showed it every year on December 7th. 44 of the surviving crew members chose to be interred in the ship. I had the honor and privilege of having the ship in Hawaii for the 70th commemoration and the 75th. When I got custody of that little model, it was about 2006 and it was in deplorable shape. I was drilling with the Sea Cadet program at the old Reserve Center off McDowell. I trooped it around for about a year and a half, and I had the pastor of my church, Bill Schoeneman, come and look at it, and he goes, "You got to rebuild." And he had a business in Phoenix. He's the pastor that we lost in March from that crazy man that killed him. But he and another gentleman from the church, Dennis Roper, they were the masterminds in rebuilding that ship. And I thank them very much. And everybody that helped, they're all gone now except Dennis. And we pick at each other every Sunday. I was over there for the 70th with Bill and Kathy, his wife, Dennis, and me and my husband, and we met 7 survivors of the Arizona at that time. They were supposed to follow their Marine Corps Honor Guard into the seating area. When they came in, and they made a right turn and came right alongside the ship. I have pictures of them. I got to meet them. I met quite a few Pearl Harbor survivors. We have no survivors of the Arizona anymore. A gentleman by the name of Luke Hunter passed away last year at 102. There's fewer than 20 Pearl Harbor survivors that are known. Some people say there's only about 15. We're losing them. We've lost the greatest generation. It's time for us to step up and take their place. There's a lot of stories that have been lost over time. Luke Hunter was one of them. Another gentleman that some of the folks that have been here before might have met. His name was Don Stratton. If he wasn't in Hawaii on the 7th, he was here on the 7th. And the first time he saw that replica, he walked straight to it, put both hands on the hull, put his head down and cried. That's how much that ship meant to the guys that lost their shipmates, and how much that little replica meant to the survivors. He was burned so badly that he was discharged on a medical and he got well and wanted to come back in. The Navy made him go through boot camp again to prove that he was physically able, and he did. Another gentleman was named Joe George. He was a bosun's mate on the Vestal. The Vestal was the little repair ship that was on the outboard side of the Arizona, and he saw 7 men trapped with fire coming up underneath them, and he threw what we call a monkey fist. It was a big knotted thing around a steel ball. He threw a monkey fist over, tied it off so they could escape. One of them was Don Stratton. They all made it across. His officer kept telling him, cut the line, cut the line. He absolutely refused to do so. He saved 7 men. His name was Joe George. And it's hard to say what that difference made for those men. I know it made a huge difference for Don Stratton. Another one we've heard of, his name is Doris Miller. He was the black sailor that manned a gun after he took a bunch of wounded people to safety and was shooting at Japanese aircraft. They're going to name a brand new aircraft carrier for him. I think it's time. I've had the privilege of being with that little ship now since about 2006. I'm not physically able to do that stuff anymore. I'm not crying about it. It's just the way life is. But I worked with the Frank Luke Museum and their equipment for years and years at car shows and such, and they were always right there to help me. And when it came time, I called Bill Simon and said, "Do you want it?" He said, What do you want for it?" I said, "Come and get it." You don't sell something like that. So now the replica is part of the Frank Luke Jr. Museum, and if you haven't been over there, there's a tiny piece of the Arizona in a cabinet there that Colonel Bill had to almost strangle the Park Service to get. And the flag underneath it was flown over the Arizona on the 75th anniversary when I was over there. I went over after my husband passed away with a friend. I was proud to be there. Matson Navigation transported my replica free of charge twice, and I'll never forget him. Mr. Gates is the one that built that. He was 16 years old, and he was born in Hawaii, and he saw the whole attack. He built that because he didn't want people to forget. I don't want people to forget. That's why we're here today. We're here to remember. And I thank all of you for being here. God bless America, and thank you.